Hey guys, GummerX here. Super excited to jump into this conversation about Black Blade swords. Yes, chapter 937 was epic, and we had Zoro fighting this Gyukumaru guy, the Benkai-looking guy here on the bridge, and he's talking to him about Ryuma's history and explaining a little bit how Ryuma actually had a Black Blade sword. And there's a lot of confusion around this. A lot of people are thinking that the Black Blade is actually just introduced through a form of armament haki, and I'm here to talk about how this is not the case, you guys. This is not armament haki. This is a Black Blade being formed. It's a bond with the sword and its user, and it's an essence being put into the sword through an extremely experienced user who's used it over a long period of time. So Ryuma got this by being extremely accomplished and using Shusui at the same time, going through all these epic sword battles, slaying a dragon with them. We know Mihawk is the greatest swordsman in the world, and he was able to put it into his sword Yoru. So I'm here to talk a little bit more about this and talk a little bit about Zoro's swords, what type of swords he might get by the end of the Wano arc and the One Piece series here. So a lot of people are tripped up about this whole Black Blade sword thing, thinking that it is armament haki being sent down into the sword by the user, but this is definitely not the case. It is a permanent upgrade on the sword built from this relationship between the user and the sword. And we have people like Shanks even, who are obviously extremely epic and powerful in the series, who do not have these Black Blade swords. Rayleigh is another case. And then we have cases like Zoro when he does not cut Monet, and he doesn't cut her because it's not armament haki, you guys. It can't be this armament haki here. So I think what's actually happening is you have an epic user like Ryuma, who gets tons and tons of use with his sword, and he's using Shusui all the time. He probably slayed this badass dragon with Shusui, and this is what forms this bond, this relationship with the sword, and then the sword essentially like upgrades and gets to become a Black Blade essentially here. So we know that objects can actually have personalities and have a little bit of an essence to themselves as well. And Zoro talks on many occasions about how his swords actually seem to be working on their own, have a mind of their own, and we have the Straw Hats ships that actually have a mind and essence of their own too. We've seen on many occasions throughout the One Piece series. So I actually think it's kind of like a blade has a personality of its own, and once it forms a strong enough relationship with its user, and its user is extremely epic and doing all of these very powerful feats using the sword is actually able to kind of upgrade and become a Black Blade. So jumping further from this here, a lot of people think it's really weird that Zoro has this Meito grade, two great swords, but then only one Wazamono grade sword as well. So a lot of people have been thinking that he will ditch this Sandai Kitetsu, the Wazamono grade sword that he has here, and he's actually going to upgrade that one for a Supreme grade sword. And I very well think this could happen, you guys. If you haven't seen my theory talking about how Zoro may take down Orochi because of the mythological Japanese foreshadowing of Susanoo, God of Storm, taking down Yamata no Orochi, finding an epic sword in front of him that upgraded his wind powers. I think this fits Zoro way too much, you guys. Zoro does all these Tatsumagi attacks, and I think it fits in really well with him getting an epic sword. I think he will fight Orochi, and Orochi may actually have Odin's sword. Yes, we know that Orochi claims to have killed Odin way back in the day, and I think that maybe he did, and he took his sword. And I think Odin, being the prominent figure that he was, actually might have had a Supreme grade sword himself. So Orochi, this sword we've seen swinging around at Otoko, I think he actually might have a Supreme grade sword himself right now. And when Zoro gets his swing at him, easily takes him out, of course, I think that he will get a Supreme grade sword, or at some other point in the Wano series, we're going to find a Supreme grade sword or a bunch of them, you guys. We've only been introduced to two so far. We have Mihawk's Yoru, and then we have the Nidai Kitetsu, and this is definitely not all we're going to see in the One Piece series, you guys. We know that there's 12 of these Supreme grade swords, and we are in the land of samurai. We're going to see a bunch more of them here. So I think that Zoro's going to get his hands on at least one Supreme grade sword. I do think he's going to get rid of the Sandai Kitetsu. It's also possible, considering where the story's going right now, that he might give up Shusui, and he might leave it at Ryuma's grave and establish kind of his own Black Blade thing here as we learn a little bit more about it. I'm sure that this Gyukumaru guy, the Benkai-looking guy, is going to explain even more and more as these chapters start to roll out, and Zoro has this fight here. We have Komurasaki as well that is noticing Zoro's weird sword fighting attacks. So I think that these attacks are going to get noticed, and they're going to start to figure out that Zoro's got some kind of Wano ancestry in him. And what they're thinking here is they're actually seeing a little bit of Zoro being trained by Koshiro way back in the day, because Koshiro is for sure from Wano, you guys, at the least here. And this is where that term snatch came from. Zoro was getting this from Koshiro, and he's learning all this terminology from him being raised by someone who was from Wano here. But essentially, Zoro's going to get one of these Supreme Grade swords. We're going to see a bunch more of them in Wano. I do think that it's also very possible that Zoro will turn the Wado Ichimonji into a Black Blade sword as well by the end of the series. Yes, we have Zoro, who proclaimed, he swore to Kuina on the Wado Ichimonji that he will become the greatest swordsman in the world. So I definitely think that this sword for sure will become a Black Blade. I think it would be perfect if Zoro got 3 swords and they all became Black Blades, or maybe he doesn't need to do that with Shusui if he does end up keeping Shusui. But I think Zoro, being the strongest swordsman in the One Piece series, will at least get one Supreme Grade sword. I definitely think he's going to hold on to the Wado Ichimonji, and a lot of people think that this Wado Ichimonji could get turned into a Black Blade sword, and then maybe that could like change the Meito grade a little bit, turn it into a Supreme Grade sword, and maybe we would have 13 Supreme Grade swords afterwards. Some people are speculating that possibly Mihawk did this to Yoru. Maybe it wasn't a Supreme Grade, but once he turned it into a Black Blade, it became legendary. It became a Meito Grade sword, so a Supreme Meito Grade sword. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Zoro will end up with 3 Supreme Grade swords? Do you think that the Wado Ichimonji will for sure be a Black Blade by the end of the series? I absolutely do. I'd love to hear from you guys. Please comment down below. What do you guys think about this idea behind an essence and swords having their own personality as an explanation for the Black Blades? Or are you guys not convinced? Are you thinking that this armament hockey is still the way that Black Blades are being created here by their users? Please subscribe, you guys. I'd love to hear from you. Comment down below. Smash that like button and that subscribe button. Hit the cute little bell next to it, you guys. Thank you so much and have a great day.